nerds, what's up? Because of a few events that have been happening in fandoms I'm a part of, I've been thinking a lot recently about what it means to be a fan. I think fandoms are a very big thing in SFF, right? We are known for having very passionate fan bases. And I've really been thinking recently about how the internet shapes fandoms and how it shapes how we interact with the things we like. And I wanted to start with this kind of funny, granular discussion of what does it actually mean to be a fan of something. I was getting a little frustrated by the idea of fan around the Wheel of Time fandom when the show was airing, and I went to Reels to say this. Today I want to talk about a couple things that I wish fandoms would stop doing. First one is making a definition for what fan means. Guess what? The only thing you need to be a fan of something is to like it. If someone has only seen the Lord of the Rings movies and loves them and has never read the books, they can still be a Lord of the Rings fan. Being a fan doesn't mean you have to have an endless knowledge of the material. It just means you like it, period. I know that may seem ironic coming from a channel like this where I like to get pedantic about the details, but that's just the way I personally show my fandom, and it doesn't mean someone else is less of a fan than I am. Number two, let's stop accusing people of lying if they like something that we don't. A good recent example is the Wheel of Time fandom, where I see a lot of comments using creators of lying about liking the Wheel of Time show. Guess what? Fans aren't a monolith. There are Wheel of Time fans that love Wheel of Time just as much as each other, and some of those fans are gonna love the show and some of them are gonna hate the show. They're both valid opinions because that's all they are. They're subjective opinions. People aren't lying, they just like different things than you. That's okay. And I had several comments pushing back saying, no, the etymology of the word fan comes from fanatic. So to be a fan, you have to be fully on fanatic about something. You're not allowed to just be casual if you say you're a fan. So let's look a little deeper into the etymology of fan. Yes, fan did originally come as a shortened form of the word fanatic, meaning a person exhibiting excessive enthusiasm and intense uncritical devotion towards some controversial matter. So when we, we're not going to talk about the etymology of fan because it doesn't matter. This is totally a case of connotation versus denotation. It doesn't matter what the word came from if it is not how it is currently used in everyday vernacular. If you've never heard that phrase before, denotation refers to the literal text definition of a word, while connotation means how the word is used in everyday conversation. And quite frankly, the etymology of a word doesn't matter if it doesn't match the casual and everyday use of a word as we know it. And quite frankly, in my opinion, in everyday use, fan is just a way more mild word. It's why we usually have an adjective associated to the word fan. Usually people will say, I'm a huge fan, I'm a die-hard fan, I'm a casual fan. We feel like there needs to be a modifier to the word fan because it has quite a broad range of general meaning. This can even be seen by Webster's Dictionary's entries for fanatic. It has more definitions now besides the one that I previously shared, adding a less harsh, milder definition for one of the ways we use it now. Mostly just comes with a connotation that you like something. And this made me actually think a lot of the etymology of the word stan, because I feel like because fan has become more casual in use, that is how we evolved the word stan to have the meaning of I am an intense fan of something. But if you didn't know, the word stan comes from an Eminem song of the same name. And if you read or listen to the song, read the lyrics, listen to the song, it does not describe something you want to be. Stan in that song is the term for an incredibly out of touch, overbearing, creepy level fan, getting too personal, what people would call parasocial, which, by the way, people totally use that word incorrectly, but we can't cover everything today, so we'll just let it be. But quite frankly, that's not how people use the word stan. They're not calling themselves somebody who crosses a boundary, somebody who is too attached in an unhealthy emotional way to the thing they like. They use the word stan to mean superfan. That's language, and that's how language has always been. Languages are alive and always evolving. And as always at this point in my video, you're like, Bookborn, who cares? What's the point? It's just that I think the internet has shaped fandoms in really weird ways. As we interact with algorithms that continually get us into specific sections and loops, and as we spend more time online in fandom rather than offline, I feel like we have shaped fandoms in ways that aren't necessarily always good. To be clear, I want to start first with the internet also made fandom great. and some of the best funnest places to be. If you were a part of a fandom that just had very little interest, and you went online and found everyone who liked the things you did, it really allowed fandom to exist. And as someone who specifically started a YouTube channel to meet more people who had my interests, because I just didn't have very many people in my day-to-day regular life, I can't deny like all the incredible positive experiences I've had. I've met some of the most uplifting, kind people who I consider some of my closest friends. And even more, the way the internet lets you reach broadly, the way that I have met and interacted with people who live in different countries than me, halfway across the world from me, and how I can gain a different and new perspective because of the broad ranges of experiences, that makes fandoms so rich, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. So I am not trying to say somehow that fandom shouldn't be online at all, but I do want to talk about some of the trends I've noticed that I think is harming our fandom spaces. I've just had to reevaluate my personal relationship with the internet again and again and again. So there's two primary things I've been thinking a lot recently in terms of online fandoms, which is first how algorithms shape what we see, and the second is how we may form our opinions only with the influence of others. So let's start with algorithms, and I just feel like everyone's sick of that word, and I get it. I'm kind of sick of that word too. Like, I feel like everywhere in our life, it's like algorithm, but I think we have to talk about how it shapes our perception of the world in really interesting ways, and I think it can also be in very insidious ways, but today we're keeping it light and we're just talking about fandom. If you're really new to that phrase, the algorithm is how websites like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and the like find content to serve you, right? When you go to the YouTube homepage, why is it showing you these suggested videos? It's probably a combination of several things. Obviously, people you're subscribed to, things that are just popular in general and rising, and they just assume a broad audience enjoys them. But also, it studies your habits. These websites study your habits, and they know your age demographic, your location demographic, and they are going to serve you things based on an algorithm they have created to hopefully best entice you to spend more time on YouTube. I'm using YouTube as the example, but all the websites are like this, right? And it uses a lot about what you spend time with. So the algorithm for you is shaped by what you click on, how long you stayed watching it, did you comment, did you read comments, did you like it? All of those things shape the content that YouTube is going to show you. But the very important thing about this is that it is trained on your behavior. And as it gets continually trained on your behavior, you will continually, likely, get put into more narrow and narrow funneled spots, giving you kind of the same thing. So there's an experiment I like to do sometimes when something in a big fandom I'm a part of, like something gets released and it becomes polarizing. I like to do this this little test. What I do is I click on a video that's clearly negative about the book. And these are like videos that have lots and lots and lots of views. Every comment underneath that, negative, saying you're so right, this book sucked, this movie sucked, whatever, blah, 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 all sucked. Then I will go to a video that is viewed just as much, but is clearly positive about the thing. And the comments there are all like, you're so right. Everyone loves this. Anyone who doesn't like it's just such a small community. And it's like, I'm always like, man, our reality is so shaped by what we choose to click on. If I'm generally a fan of something and the people I watch are all fans, I'm going to have this certain perception of reality that this thing is the most popular thing in the world. If I'm over here because I hate it, I'm going to have this perception that everyone agrees with me and everyone hates it because look at how many comments and how many views this thing also has. I constantly say to myself, like, my perception is so warped by what the algorithm is choosing to show me. And I don't think that's like a problem when it comes to fandom. I don't think there's anything wrong with seeking out content that reflects your opinion. Like, it's not that serious. I don't think, well, we'll get to that later. I don't think as a fan you have like some duty to be fair and look at every side. But I do think it's beneficial to recognize, at the very least, that you may be skewed by mathematical equations that are using your behavior to funnel you the same type of content. Especially understanding if you're viewing rage bait content that's meant to make you angry and designed to be unreasonable, but doesn't actually reflect reality, but is trying to make you think that it does. As a fan, I don't think you have a responsibility to be fair. I don't think you have a responsibility to force yourself to watch hate content about a book you love to be fair. I think that's actually a really stupid thing that the internet tells you need to do. I feel like I have a little bit more responsibility of that because I'm on here saying things. So I do sometimes try to engage in things to really see what the general census is. So it's not like I think you have to engage. But I do think it's nice to understand how what you're viewing reflects actual reality and what that is, and just keeping that in mind. So this kind of moves me into the second part I was thinking a lot about, is the worry that we rely on the internet to tell us how we feel about things. I think to want to feel accepted in an online community, you may want to reflect back the opinions you are seeing. It is natural for humans to do that. I guess they call it the chameleon effect, but I always just heard it about humans often mirror each other very clearly. Like they will mirror facial expressions and poses because unconsciously we find that as a way to show that we are empathizing with someone, to try to fit in and build rapport and comfort with another person. In fact, I remember reading this, that's why sometimes unconsciously people will start faking an accent if they're talking to someone for a long time, because unconsciously their brain is trying to reflect that they hear them, that they see them. Humans like to mirror things. We like to fit in and to build relationships with people. And so I think it's very natural to extend that online, that we may be trying to mirror the response that other people are having because we want to fit in and be a part of the community and a part of the group. But is there a danger when we are just constantly waiting for a large group of anonymous people to tell us how we feel about something? And I don't think it's always conscious. I think it can just happen, like I said, with that chameleon effect, unconsciously. And I had a personal experience with this recently. And so I am going to do the dangerous thing and talk about Taylor Swift on my channel, which I feel like is dangerous. So I need to start with the caveat that I really don't care what you think about Taylor Swift. I know that sounds rude. I usually care about your guys' opinions. In this case, I do not care. So if you're going to write, I'm not going to read it. I don't care. But I have been a Taylor Swift fan for a really long time because I'm a millennial. And that's just kind of how it is. I've been a fan since her first album back in 2006. So I've been around the block for a bit. And recently that fandom has just been not very fun. I think as fandoms get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so for her latest release of her album, I kind of made this weird decision to just not go online. I decided I was going to listen to the album by myself, make my complete own decision about whether I liked it or not, discuss it with a couple of in real life friends, kind of casually, but for the most part, give myself some distance to just not hear what other people think and just totally decide whether I liked it or not. This was the most freeing thing I've ever done. I have never felt better about something. In fact, after a week, I was excited to go online and talk about it. And the fandom was in pieces. Everything was on fire. People were so angry. Everyone was yelling at each other. It was this awful place to be. And I was just I'm just gonna walk back out. And I have been having a nice time. I was I feel free. And I just realized how much I was letting online opinions influence how I felt about things. But when I gave myself enough time to decide for myself, how freeing it was and how much easier it was to engage in conversation and not really care if my opinion wasn't reflecting others. I think this is really similar to why with books on this channel, I try really hard to go in with so little expectation because I want to be able to form my own opinion. And it's also why I'm actually just, this is going to sound privileged, so I'm so sorry, but I am so grateful I got to read Wind and Truth so early. Well, not really so early, but I finished it the day it came out. So I didn't get to see anyone else's reactions to it because I think it made myself more confident in how I felt about it. I had dislikes and I had likes in that book. And then the fandom totally went to war over it. And I felt better just being able to do my own thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't participate in online fandom. I'm here. I enjoy it. But what it really helped me do is take a step back and go, am I having fun? Because I don't really know why you're in a fandom unless it's to enjoy yourself, right? That's kind of the point of fandoms, right? To enjoy yourself and find a great community. And so I just kind of asked myself, am I happy? Am I having fun? If I am getting so angry, is that really what I want to get out of this? And that has helped me step back out of situations that aren't serving me. Even as a content creator, when I feel I have a little bit more of an expectation in this space to do things, I just didn't cover the Wheel of Time season 3 while it was happening because I recognized I was no longer having fun in the fandom. And that preserved my ability to enjoy the Wheel of Time, which was worth it for me. So I just want to be like, free yourselves of having the right opinion. You can think whatever you want. You can love a book everybody hates. We all have it. We all have that book. You can hate a book everyone loves. We also have that. We all have that one. And just like freeing yourself from that and understanding is fandom making you happy. Because being a fan just isn't that serious. It can feel serious, and I know that because a lot of us are in, I'll just talk specifically about SFF because that's what we're here. A lot of us have stories about how we found comfort in books growing up, and so they can be deeply meaningful. And I'm not taking away from that, but fandom itself shouldn't be this serious. And I feel like sometimes it's good to remind ourselves of that sometimes. Otherwise, I think, as I've talked previously before, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, the anonymous nature of the internet makes us act ways online we wouldn't necessarily act in real life, particularly with like not letting it go until someone shares our opinion, like not accepting. Like, it's one thing to hate a book. It's another thing to hate a book and say that your job is to convince everyone else to hate it too. It's one thing to love a book. It's another thing to say you can't dislike it. I actually find the other happens a lot more often. To say that the only way to be fair, to be a fan, is to be negative. I think we just need to all take a breath. Fandom is fun. And remind yourself of that and find the best things of the online community by tailoring your experience and by taking a step back sometimes. This sounded like a momming video. It did. It sounded like a momming video. But to be clear, this is for myself because I actually just recently took a way bigger step offline than I usually do. And I have felt pretty good about it, to be quite frank, which is just ironic to talk about as somebody who's like online. But, it's just all good things also have bad things. And I don't know, maybe you guys are sick of talking about fandoms, but I just feel like the more aware we are of this stuff, just like the happier spaces these can be, because I don't want to let it go because it is a great place to be. Okay, that's it. If you like these kind of deep dives, please like and subscribe. That is the best way to support me. And if you want to see what I'm currently reading as well as other nerdy rants, you can check me out on Instagram at bookborn.reviews. I'll see you next time.